Hello world, 16 new Bluetooth vulnerabilities have been discovered, some of which allow an attacker to hack into and remotely control a device. And it turns out our Android and iOS phones aren't alone in susceptibility to malware. A new report shows basic phones are also on hackers' hit lists. That's in today's episode of The Week Web, where we break down and dissect cybersecurity related tech news. 16 brand new vulnerabilities in Bluetooth have been discovered, which not only allow an attacker to crash a device's Bluetooth functionality in a denial of service attack, but more worryingly, one of these exploits enables arbitrary code execution, meaning an attacker could remotely control a vulnerable device via its Bluetooth connection. Potentially billions of devices are affected by these newly discovered hacks. Researchers from the Singapore University of Technology and Design are behind a comprehensive new paper on these vulnerabilities. They've dubbed the new hacks BRAKTOOth. Brak is Norwegian for crash. It does sound kinda cool, but I would have expected them to go with a more local language. Norway is quite far. The vulnerabilities range in their severity. The less severe ones are denial of service attacks. These affect a whole array of devices, everything from smartphones and laptops to keyboards, toys, and even industrial equipment. They've discovered quite a few of these exploits, but let's look at one which affects the device you're likely watching this on. Laptops and smartphones employing certain Intel and Qualcomm Bluetooth chipsets are affected. The phones affected seem to be rather niche Chinese brands, however, an array of Microsoft Surface laptops also use one of the vulnerable Bluetooth SoCs. The paper explains that the denial of service attack works because the Bluetooth SoC, or system on chip, doesn't properly free resources when it receives certain types of packets. The attacker can exhaust the SoC by spamming malformed packets until the Bluetooth module nopes out, triggering firmware crashes. This is demonstrated in a video they made where they attacked a Bluetooth speaker. Audio through the speaker starts stuttering and eventually disconnects. I suppose you could call this a kind of deauth attack for Bluetooth. Annoying, yes, but it's not going to ruin a victim's day. The arbitrary code execution vulnerability is little more than mildly annoying, however. It's the most critical vulnerability they discovered, and if utilized correctly, most definitely has the potential to ruin your day. This exploit specifically affects ESP32 chips. The electronics hobbyists among my audience will recognize this chip. It's a super powerful little thing, sporting dual cores. It's the go-to chip for any project that needs Wi-Fi and Bluetooth functionality. It's famous in the electronics hobbyist world. And due to its incredibly low cost, after all, the thing is only $3 in a module, it's used in a bunch of IoT appliances, LED bulbs, smart home stuff, that kind of thing. The arbitrary code execution vulnerability allows attackers to do such things as erase VRAM, toggle Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, as well as control GPIO. The GPIO on the ESP32 are the data lines it uses to communicate with connected components. So for example, in a smart bulb, the GPIO will control the LEDs. A hacker messing with your lights isn't much concern, unless you're epileptic. But more worryingly, in a product such as a smart lock, a servo used for the locking mechanism could be actuated. Again, a proof of concept video illustrates this. They hack into an ESP32 and toggle an LED. Ironically, all of these hacks are themselves carried out via ESP32 chips. As far as we know, none of these vulnerabilities have been exploited in the wild as of yet. The researchers have of course created proof of concept tools which would allow you to recreate these attacks, however they're only provided upon request, and for now they're only being made available to manufacturers until November, giving them time to create patches until the exploits inevitably make their way into the hands of wrongdoers. In the unlikely event you're interested in dissecting the flow diagrams for each of the newly discovered vulnerabilities, I'll make sure to link the full research paper in the description. I've covered mobile phone related malware quite a bit on this channel. Whenever the topic of mobile malware or Pegasus spyware comes up, I've noticed a recurring meme in the comments that we might as well head back to flip phones, because that's the only safe option at this point. Or is it? It turns out that there's nowhere to hide, as a new paper from a Russian researcher has analysed an array of low-cost phones and found that a considerable number of simple push-button phones contain, and he's putting it mildly here, unwanted, undocumented functions. Far from being immune from malware, 4 of the 5 random phones that were sampled were found to come with modified firmware, which steals money from the phone's owner. This new research specifically covers phones of this kind sold on Russian online marketplaces. The report itself is in Russian, which I've had translated. The impetus for this investigation was numerous reports on Russian news websites and in product reviews about some low-cost phones somehow adding random charges to their owners' monthly phone bills. Wanting to dig deeper, Valdik, the researcher, bought 5 mobiles ranging in cost from $10 to $20. He conducted his analysis by analysing the phone's firmware and constructing a DIY 2G base station to intercept communications. The contraption, consisting of the Blade RF, Raspberry Pi 400 and specialist software revealed how the scam worked. Upon booting up the phones, they would phone home to a miscreant-controlled server, initially only reporting metadata about the device, essentially letting whoever runs the scheme know that yet another mobile has been added to their list. Some phones did this via the internet, others via SMS. Later on, the phones would be instructed by the command and control server to secretly send premium rate text messages. These are text messages sent to a special kind of number which directly charges the mobile phone bill. They're often used by charities to accept donations or to enter competitions for a fee, that kind of thing. In this intercepted post request, a phone is told to text a number and send 50 rubles, that's roughly 70 cents, to a premium number. An excerpt from a Russian news site shares a similar story of a victim who bought the exact same phone and was debited 50 rubles. 50 rubles or 70 cents doesn't sound like much, but this would be done periodically, with a new charge every few weeks. Idea being, the victim wouldn't notice such a small charge on their bill, and let's be honest, who actually reads their phone bill? However, over time, and with a number of malicious mobiles out there, a criminal could build a nice little passive income stream for themselves. If you ignore the fact that this is kind of predatory and on the whole not very nice, it is quite clever, I think we have to admit. All this would be done silently, the dodgy text messages wouldn't even show in the victim's inbox. Additionally, paid text messages like this often require explicit consent for a fee to be taken. Valdic noticed that the firmware secretly intercepts the confirmation SMS and sends a confirmation text in response. I'm not sure exactly who buys this kind of phone, I'm guessing just old people and drug dealers, which for criminals are the perfect targets. Elderly people likely won't realise they're being scammed, and drug dealers aren't in the best position to report this kind of activity if they figure it out. The question, of course, is who exactly is behind this scam? These simple phones are often white-labelled OEM products, meaning a manufacturer in China makes them without a brand name and sells them in bulk to a company which sticks their own brand name on them. If you spend just 5 minutes on wholesale websites like Alibaba, it's not difficult to find such OEM phones at just a few dollars a piece. Valdic is pointing the finger at the brands under which the phones are sold, alleging that they've bought these OEM phones and modified the firmware before putting them on the market. That makes the cost of setting up an operation like this quite low, as you don't need to actually develop a phone from scratch, and instead just spend a couple $1,000s on already made devices. I doubt any of you guys are buying these kinds of phones, but if you are, pay a little extra and go with a trusted brand like Nokia. Give the unknown brands a miss. If you enjoy this kind of video, make sure to help me out by tickling the like button for YouTube AI, as well as turning on those sub notifications. If you want to see what goes on behind the scenes and follow my journey in creating products for my pen tester hardware company Maltronics, make sure to follow me on the Instagrams. I am at Jonty. I will of course link it in the description. If you're looking for something to watch next, go check out my previous video on how I discovered a scammer was masquerading as my manager and trying to scam companies out of sponsorship money. I went undercover, setting up a call with him before revealing my true identity. As always, sources will be linked in the video description. Stay tuned for more hacking videos and have a good one.